While this will be a non-spoiler video for the Words of Radiance, I do want to let you know that this is my favorite fantasy book of the 2010s. So if you're looking for someone to tear this down, this ain't it. Let's take a look at Words of Radiance. Expectation. That is the true soul of art. If you can give a man more than he expects, then he will laud you his entire life. If you can create an air of anticipation and feed it properly, you will succeed. Expectation wasn't just about what people expected of you, it was about what you expected of yourself. A man will find a single coin in the mud and talk about it for days, but when his inheritance comes and is accounted 1% less than he expected, then he will declare himself cheated. Power is an illusion of perception, and words are where most change begins. To live was to be a fragment of the cosmere that was experiencing itself. As I fear not a child with a weapon he cannot lift, I will never fear the mind of a man who does not think. A woman's strength should not be in her role, whatever she chooses to be, but in the power to choose that role. Do not let your assumptions about a culture block your ability to perceive the individual, or you will fail. I will protect those who cannot protect themselves. I will protect even those I hate so long as it is right. I will protect those I hate, even if the one I hate the most is myself. Hey, what's up, bookworms and Knights Radiant? Mike back again as we continue Stormlight September with Book 2 of the Stormlight Archive, and that is, of course, Words of Radiance by Brandon Sanderson. I absolutely love this book, guys. I'm going to get into why. Now, while I say this is a non-spoiler video, I do want to let you know there will be plot points from Way of Kings that I will have to talk about in here. That's just kind of the thing when you do non-spoiler reviews of a series, is you have to get in to some things that happened in the previous book. So if you haven't read any of them and you intend to, I'd say wait, because there are some things that happen in Way of Kings I'm going to have to mention to be able to make these make sense. So that non-spoiler review is right here for Way of Kings if you want to go back and watch that and convince yourself to watch it. As for this, I will be doing full spoiler talk after this. I probably won't record it today, real life. So instead of it being dropped at the same time like I did last time, I'll drop it probably the following day. But there we go, guys. This is the second book of the Stormlight Archive. If you don't know, second out of a first arc of 5, second overall of 10 that is supposed to be. But we are talking right now just about this first arc. Let's get into it like we always do and talk about what is it about. Now we're back with Kaladin here, and he is now in command of the royal bodyguards. Now he must protect the king and Dalinar from every common peril, as well as the distinctly uncommon threat of the assassin Szeth. Now Szeth is murdering rulers all over the world of Roshar. He's using his baffling powers to thwart every bodyguard and elude all pursuers. Among his prime targets is High Prince Dalinar, widely considered the power behind the Alethi throne. Now Shallan is broken away she refuses to acknowledge, and she bears a terrible burden to somehow prevent the return of the legendary Voidbringers and the civilization-ending desolation that will follow. The secret she needs can be found at the Shattered Plains, but just arriving there proves more difficult than she could have imagined. Meanwhile, at the heart of the Shattered Plains, the Parshendi are convinced by their war leader Eshonai to risk everything on a gamble with every supernatural force they once fled. And guys, that leads us in to Words of Radiance. So you guys know the format. We now go into what makes it good or bad. And I've already told you that this is like my favorite fantasy book of probably the last decade plus. So yeah, it's going to be mostly good. But there will be a couple of gripes I have in there, which I'll get into. But again, this is going to be overly positive. So again, if you're looking for someone who's going to have the same complaints you do, it probably won't happen. But we'll see. Let's get into the good here. The character focus flashback is even better in this one than the last one. And that's amazing because the flashbacks to Kaladin in book 1 were some of the best I'd ever seen. But somehow he topped himself with Shallan's story here. Her backstory is absolutely mesmerizing. And if anyone who says they saw it coming, I don't know how. You should be reading Sherlock Holmes novels, not Stormlight Archive, because you are very, very intelligent. I didn't see some of these twists with Shallan coming at all. And I find her story so personable because while I might not have come as from a family as messed up as that, I do come from a family of screw-ups, and I do feel like I find myself trying to fix a lot of their mistakes a lot. So I can kind of identify with that. But she finds her confidence in this novel, and it's great. And she deals with a surprise betrothal and her developing power set. It's a very big arc again for Shallan. What I said in the first one was like she was a different character by the end of Way of Kings she was in the beginning. Double it. That's how much she grows in this novel, and it's this is the one where it took me from like I like Shallan to oh my god, I absolutely love Shallan. This is excellent stuff, and Sanderson really hit a home run here. She also has to undergo the hero's journey here. She has some loss that she has to deal with, and she has to kind of learn how to do some of these things on her own, and I think that's always important in a hero's journey. So if you were looking for some of that in the first one, you were sad it wasn't there is some of that here. But all the while, like I said, the mystery surrounding her family gets slowly unveiled at just the perfect time. Some of the things I said about Liza Locklemoore is I felt like it was always just the flashback just to get them out of whatever situation they were currently in. This one has like two big reveals, and they're done back to back at just perfect pacing. So props to Sanderson, props to his editor. You guys absolutely nailed it. Okay, now you got my man Dalinar here. Now he's over here. He's trying to unite all of the High Princes. The Stormfather keeps telling him to unite everybody, no matter what. He thinks that he needs to move against Sadeas, but there's reasons that he can't do that, right? But he's still suffering from the visions, trying to deal with the petty politics. But I think that he really has a, I don't want to say a diminished role in this one. It's just you knew, but I knew at this point when I was reading this that book 3 was going to be Dalinar's big flashback book. So you're going to get all your answers about him in that one. So I don't want to say he's like invisible in this book, but I think that his arc is very, very much slower than Kaladin or Shallan's is in this book. And I don't begrudge it that. It's amazing that that's my favorite character. I feel like he almost kind of takes a back seat to the other two POV characters in this, yet I absolutely love this book. So that just tells you how strong everyone else is. I thought Dalinar was so strong in that first book. It was kind of more what I expected. Okay, he can't really top that, but some way he found a way to top that with Shallan. I'll talk about Kaladin here because I think while we don't get his flashbacks in this one, I do think somehow his story is stronger. Oh my gosh, shut your dog up! It's like midnight here and some asshole's walking his dog and he's just letting the dog just like bark like crazy. God, gotta love the suburbs, man. It's awesome. Anyway, Kaladin, so he is working on training these Bridge 4 crew now in a very, very different role than they found themselves in the first book, as part of the Kingsguard. So it's a really nice new thing where you've got him, he's still being the leader and the trainer and stuff like that, but it's just in a much different kind of way this time. And it isn't anything lesser, I don't think. You continue to get the development for many of those Bridge 4 characters, especially Moash, which I'll talk about here in a minute. But yeah, I was afraid, again, I loved how he differentiated the crew in the first book. You knew who each character was, but I didn't know how far he would go with some of that. He gives some of them a lot. Teft gets some stuff, and Moash gets some stuff. Rock gets some development. I like this. I like that they're not just there to be, the personalities for Kaladin to interact with. They're actually going to get some of their own stuff. Now, I'm not expecting like POV chapters or anything like that with some of them, but yeah, I do see more growth in them just there to eventually be red shirts in the series. Another thing is Kaladin has to deal with Amaram again, because Amaram does encounter Kaladin again. So you do have to deal with the demons of your past, and there's reasons that he can't really go at Amaram the way that he wants to, which I won't spoil for you. So it's something that you knew he was going to have to face eventually. But again, it happened so early. I was really excited to see where that went. But he continues to develop these new abilities that he's getting. He's getting all kinds of new abilities, and he's slowly working on them. And I won't tell you if he gets better at them or not, but just know that it's training sequences that don't get exhausting like I've had with some stories. Like I said, I really loved what was it, the Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter, but I was like, yeah, it might have been about 12 training scenes too much, you know. I think that you have to be realistic about these training scenes, and when you see how long these books are, you expect those training sequences to be very, 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 very info heavy. But I really don't feel like I ever got tired of them in this. It felt like they were serving a purpose. It was moving the story forward at the same time it was doing that, so it never ever felt like work. Because a lot of these things, you get training sequences or travel and it feels like work. I don't ever felt like this book was work at all. All of this huge ass book, I could not believe none of it felt like work to me. And that's just, again, that's just what Sanderson does. It's amazing that he can do that so far. All right. So, yeah, he does have to face some struggle with things, namely Moash. There's some back history that's brought up with Moash, and so let's just say some ideals that he has that maybe don't quite mesh with what Kaladin's going through right now, and it's something that he struggles with mightily, and it's probably the biggest struggle he has in this book. Then pretty much there's one bigger thing, but you guys have got to watch spoilers if you haven't, because it's hard not. You realize how hard it is not to spoil these things, right? Especially when everything you say, people are like, but you told me his last name. That's a spoiler. But, hey, it is what it is. Kaladin also has to deal with learning how to work with Adolin a little bit in this book. Yes, Adolin does still call him Bridge Boy, and yes, it is still very, very funny to me. But Adolin does get some time in this book, and I'm here for it. I actually really think that this is where he starts to stand out more as a character other than just being Dalinar's son. I think that he really becomes his own character in this one. I liked him in the first book. I loved him in this one. I thought he was really, really awesome. You see how good of a fighter he is, but he's kind of a romantic, and you get your first real glimpse at that. And I really, really like most of the romances in this. There are two particular romances that I am quite fond of, and I'll talk about those in spoilers. But I want to talk about the bad, because there is a couple of bad things here, and the big one is there are hints of a love triangle, and that is a trope I will never be happy to see, ever. I never, ever like this stuff, because I feel like it just starts to devolve into YA wish fulfillment dream fantasy that I just don't care for. It's not my brand. I am not wild about love triangles in any story, regardless of who is writing it. It doesn't matter. That's a personal thing. I don't care for love triangles. I hate them. Give me some pairings, yeah, sure, whatever. But don't give me this, hey, I'm with this person, but that boy is really cute. Or, hey, I'm with this person, but whoa, she's hot. I don't need that. I need just straight relationships. I don't know. Maybe it's just part of being old. I don't know. I'm just not crazy about love triangles. And I guess, again, the same gripe as last week, which is not a gripe to me, because like I just told you, these pages fly by. It's a long book. It's even longer than the last 1,080 pages. Again, don't need to invest in weights. These books are massive. But again, I never felt overly tired reading these. So I can't call that a bad, but there are still people who will say, yeah, I feel like that could have been cut, that could have been cut, that could have been cut. I can't think of anything. I can think of even less in this book that should have been cut than in Way of Kings. So again, this is two books I think he's really, really knocked that formula just out of the park with. So that just leads me to why you should read it, right? Look, Brandon takes everything about Way of Kings and he just builds upon it. And he makes it better. Anything that you felt like he didn't do right in the first one, he does better in this book, except the fake cussing. I know there are a lot of people, especially it's a big joke, running joke on the Discord, just the fake cussing, storming, I grew up with watching Farscape and Battlestar Galactica and stuff, so I use like frack and frill and things like that. So I kind of get where it's coming from. It's just kind of funny. I talked last time about that. I felt that maybe you might want to PG-13 it up a little bit. I don't know. I don't have to have bad language, but don't hurt. But it doesn't bother me that much. But now I can't not think about it just because of how big the discussions become on the Discord lately. But I think it's just a better overall book than Way of Kings. If you don't know how much of a stickler I am with my rating system, I do not give 5 stars very often. My rating system is 4 is like really goddamn good. But 5 is a book I think that people will be reading 100 years from now. So I don't give out that 5 unless I feel like it is an all-time classic. I know a lot of people don't like that, but you know what? It's my rating system, not yours. Do it the way you want to do. This is the way that I do it. So if it brings down Goodreads' algorithm, well, then maybe they should start putting in half stars or something, or make their rating system out of 10. I don't know. It's not my fault. I don't work for Goodreads. That's Goodreads' problem. Anyhow, yeah, I thought it was just absolutely wonderful. I cannot recommend it high enough. And if you thought Shallan was just okay in the last book and you think maybe you want to know more, this is going to be for you. So guys, if you read Way of Kings and you want to read if you want to read Words of Radiance, I can't give a highest enough recommend for you to do so, because you're going to be happy. And that brings me to just a couple final thoughts. I'm trying here, but I just cannot describe my love for this book. It was one of those things where I had no idea how much I needed it when I got it, because I really liked Way of Kings. I thought it was a really, really just impressive, damn good start. And I thought for sure it's going to be one of those, it's going to be one of those where the first book is amazing and then you never top it again. He topped it on the first try. So it's one of those things that you never expected it. And now that you have it, you can't imagine what your life was like before it, because I've compared every fantasy book I've read since then to this book, and none of them have come close. I think this is the best fantasy book of the generation, guys. And you guys know how much I love First Law, how much I love Game of Thrones, how much I love everything. All those series you see behind me there, I love them. I love Red Rising. None of those have gotten 5 stars. So this came out in 2014 and is the most modern book I've given 5 stars to. So again, take that for what it's worth. If you think my rating system's crap, well then that's what the opinion is worth there. So again, if you've made it this far into the video though, it seems like you might be interested in my opinion, but look guys, I did not think a modern fantasy story could be this deep and rich and just absolutely wonderful and just completely wow me the way that it did. And that's really all I got, guys. It's Stormlight September. We're 2/3 done now. I'm gonna be doing Oathbringer next week, and a lot of people, let's just say they don't like some of the opinions I have about Oathbringer. So that might be a more interesting review than this one, where I won't just be gushing the entire time. But I am going to be doing my spoiler talk for the Words of Radiance. So if you are interested in that, I'll post it in the description or below or attached or up here or something after I actually record it. It's like, yeah, it's almost like 1 in the morning here, and yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and record that tomorrow. So thanks for watching, guys, and I will talk to you in the comments.